Hello and welcome to the Parting Shot with H. Allen Scott. I am H. Allen Scott. A little warning before we get into today's episode. It is NSFW, so, don't be listening with the kids, I guess. But it's a great episode, and I really think you're going to enjoy it, especially because it's Friday. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, and everyone could enjoy a little NSFW on a Friday, right? I want it. Yeah, why not? It's Friday, TGIF. Anyway, my guest today is Brandon Kyle Goodman. Now, Brandon is a very good friend of mine. I am obsessed with Brandon's Instagram. Brandon does this thing on Mondays called Messy Mondays. And it's messy. People send in questions and they're often very sex-based. And Brandon just sort of lays it out for them, just sort of gives it to them straight. And that is what I love about Brandon. Brandon does not hold back on anything. I mean, they just kind of put it out there and you got to be ready for it. And that is what's sort of brilliant about Brandon. Now, Brandon also, they wrote a great book called You Gotta Be You: Race, Sexuality, and Gender through humorous, honest, and it's autobiographical. It's a fantastic book. You really should check it out. Brandon also hosts the podcast Tell Me Something Messy, which goes along with Messy Mondays. Fantastic guests. Again, NSFW. I mean, Brandon is doing so many things. Brandon also is a voice and writer on Big Mouth. So that's another thing you probably know Brandon from. But we have a great chat today about sort of how Brandon is so free with how they talk and online and what made that decision, how Brandon made that decision to be that open online, because, that's a decision. And sometimes that can be not a great decision. But for Brandon, it's been a very good decision. So we talked about that, talked about so many things. This is a great Friday episode because it's a great way to sort of just end the week in an NSFW kind of way. So sit back and grab a snack because I will be right back with Brandon Kyle Goodman. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well too. I'm glad this finally happened.
I'm so excited. Thank you for being so flexy.
I've never been called flexy ever in my life. If you see, actually, I was at a party this weekend, Labor Day. We were recording this over Labor Day, and there was, of course, homosexuals, and it was late, and it was a big backyard, big mansion, big people, rich people, and
yes.
but like rich LA people, and they all decided to start doing yoga poses in the backyard at like 10 o'clock at night. Like 10. Yeah.
Were there drugs involved? What's happening?
I don't know about that. Not on my part.
Allegedly.
But allegedly. I don't know. But there was yoga happening, and I stood there and I was commenting on the yoga happening with some other friends who I realized that in that moment I had gone back to high school where I was watching people who were successful in physical things do things, and I was just making fun of them on the sidelines.
Yes, I'd be with you.
Other and I realized nothing has changed in my life.
Absolutely.
I'm still that girl.
Period. And I hope you're always that girl. I would be right there with you. Because what are we doing yoga at 10 o'clock at night on Labor Day weekend for? Girl,
10 o'clock at night on a holiday weekend.
On a holiday weekend, y'all better have a martini and shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
But I can't stretch like that. I can barely. I've gotten to the age where actually waking up hurts.
It's painful. I know. I have to foam roll and hip stretch. My body doesn't just bounce back anymore. So
does your doctor ever talk to you about your sciatica? Because I heard the word sciatica and I immediately was like, is AARP coming? What's happening next? Because
I'm not even sure how to spell sciatica. I thought that was a bug.
I literally, as soon as he said sciatica, I was like, excuse me?
He said, shut your mouth.
Oh my God. Another thing happened at the party that I think you would, I don't know why I'm just sharing now things with you. And this, actually, you know what? This actually is a good intro because Brandon has, for anyone listening who does not follow Brandon on the internet, what's wrong with you? But you have an ability to bring out in people, myself included, and I'm you and I do very similar things. I'm guarded and I control conversations. I don't participate necessarily and give more than I need to. But you bring something out in people that I think allows people to feel comfortable to sort of share everything. Do you get that a lot?
I do. I heard once that I make honesty feel like a party, and I was like, work. I'll, I'll take it. I'll take it.
It's
Yeah, I don't know.
true.
I think I have my grandmother's smile, and so I think that that just makes people want to tell me things, and I always hold it with such reverence and respect, and I think people hopefully feel that, so they feel willing to share a range of things.
Yeah, I mean, even just then in that moment, there was a moment at that party, the yoga party,
Yeah.
where I was we were someone was telling me, this really a great person, great new friend, was telling me that he teaches like a death class, like a death course, like a course on death in high school for like
Oh
kids to
wow,
for
that's
kids to
incredible.
process and use it in literature and all these
Yeah,
wonderful things.
that's
But and
incredible.
it brought up me talking about how in high school I was like a hospice volunteer for like a teen program of
Oh
someone.
wow.
It was a family who back before, so like nowadays when a baby is born with HIV in the United States, the percentage of that baby continuing to have HIV is very, very low because of the advent of, AZT given to the child early on and other medical, things that happen.
Sure.
So now that rate of HIV infection in children is very, very low because of that. And so, but when I was in high school, that wasn't the case. That didn't that kids were still, if you were born to an HIV positive mom, likelihood is it might happen to the baby too. And that
Yeah.
was the family that I was a hospice volunteer for, where the child had HIV, the mom had AIDS, and the father had passed away from complications with AIDS. And so I was just telling him this story and what I did and how great it was and how fulfilling it was to be able to sort of be like a big brother for this little boy.
Yeah.
And this man at the party said, "Oh yeah, what was that? I mean, I'm assuming that was in the 80s." And I looked at him like,
he
"How old do
said,
you think I
he
am?
said, bitch.
How how old do you?" I
I was
mean,
just trying to tell you this nice story.
I was just offering, I was being vulnerable, and now you just slapped me with,
Wow.
I was a
Wow.
child in the 80s. I was barely. Oh my God. I was so furious.
The violence.
I was
You had to
really,
backhand them.
would that make you angry?
Yeah. I'm here telling you this wonderful story, and then you try to come at me for my age. Girl, I'll slap you. What are
Well,
you
he
talking
wasn't
about?
coming for me. He
Not
made a
coming for me, you know
genuine
what I'm saying?
mistake.
Like,
But yes.
a mistake, my ass. I'm gonna fight you.
Okay, Brandon, there's so many
Yes.
things that you do so well. One of the things that I want to talk about first off is, of course, we'll talk about your book that was incredible. Tell me something,
Thank you.
or You Gotta Be You. But I want to talk about your podcast and your presence on the internet first, and how that is so, like a little bit what I was talking about before, how it's so open. So you have this podcast called Tell Me Something Messy, and you also have Messy Mondays. First
Yes.
off, tell me about Messy Mondays and how that all came about, because I'm low key obsessed with it.
Yeah, Messy Mondays came about in 2020. It was born of something that, sad, which is that we were all navigating COVID and this, I guess what we've dubbed a racial reckoning. And so I was making all these videos around race and gender and sexual orientation, intersection, allyship.
And that's how you and
Um,
I met when you did my podcast, my old
yeah,
podcast. You're Making It Worse. That's from
yes.
when you were doing that at that time. Yeah.
Yes, I was making a lot of rounds, talking to a lot of really cool people like yourself, but it was getting a little depressing because at the same time I was writing on Big Mouth, and Big Mouth. That's we tell dirty jokes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
Great
like I
show on
love.
Netflix. Y'all can watch it.
Yeah, come on. So I love
Yeah.
telling dick jokes and I missed telling dick jokes. So around I think November or December of 2020, I went on my stories and said, tell me something good or tell me something messy. And honestly, with no idea what that would actually bring forth, if you will. But
Hmm.
people were in COVID; they were horny as fuck, and so most of the mess was people's fantasies and their
Yes.
desires, and
Yes.
the dicks they wanted to suck, the pussy they want to eat. I don't know if I can say that here, but all the
You just said it.
you can believe it, you can believe it. But the things that they wanted to do in the bedroom or the alleyway.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I would respond to them with really no judgment.
Hmm.
I would give my advice or say that sounds great or
Hmm.
ask more questions. And then I just kept doing that every Monday. And it
Yeah.
kind of started to take off. And I think from what I'm told, is I think people appreciated the shame-free environment to talk
Yeah.
about sex and talk about our bodies.
Hmm.
And it helped me as well. Like it began what I call my hoe journey, HEAUX, which
Hmm.
I define as someone who commits to the liberation of themselves and others by interrogating their relationship to sex using curiosity, communication, and compassion.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I've seen your evolution from when we first connected and the amazing work you were doing around, Black Lives Matter and at the beginning of COVID and all those and those and you continue to have those conversations. Like,
Yes,
yes,
yes.
that was very important. But your evolution to, I guess, I don't want to say the internet presence you have now, because it hasn't really changed. It's just a different part of you. And what I like about what you're doing is I find in the sex space, the relationship space, there's a lot of voices of people just saying things to say things, to be
Yeah.
dramatic, to put the words out there and to make people
Yes.
go, ooh, like,
Yes.
and there's a lot of that. And you don't really do that. What you do, and I liken it, and this is a compliment, but just stick
Please.
with me here.
Okay, I'm staying.
There was this, I believe she's Canadian, but there was this sex therapist on like late night television in the 90s, maybe even early aughts, called Dr. Sue Johnson. Do you know Sue Johnson?
Yes,
Yes, you
of
do. Of
course,
course you
Dr. Sue
do.
Johnson.
And that woman did not hold back, but
At
she
all.
delivered it in a way that, again, was shame free, that allowed people a space to really open up and say that, and people would call in and they would share things. And it's very similar to Messy Mondays insofar as you're not doing it to shock people by saying crazy things. And you're using your comedy and your talent in the ability to put things into a humorous, relatable way, but you're also doing it in a way that allows people to say, okay, that thought I had or that thing I did, maybe I'm not so embarrassed about it, or maybe I shouldn't be
Yeah.
so embarrassed about it. Do you feel that you get that from people?
Yeah, my intention is always, to make people feel less alone is what I keep saying. Because
Mhm,
we can be in our heads about these things, and start to get embarrassed and doubt and make it bigger than it actually is. And then
mhm,
when you ask the question, if somebody goes, "Oh yeah, me too," or like, "Maybe I don't understand that exactly, but I understand it in this way," you feel like, "Oh, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not
mhm,
I have nothing to feel shame here about." That like we are all navigating our bodies or our relationships or our identity,
mhm,
and that it matters, what I'm saying, like that
mhm.
it is important to do so.
Yeah, and you said something once in our DMs, active DMs,
Active
that
DMs.
I thought it was so great. I made some joke to you about close friends list, and you said something like, "Oh, my main feed is my close friends list,"
Yes.
where it's so, and I do think that's indicative, that is true of you, that like you do, and I say that to say, like, through this process, even with some of your photo shoots and the way you express yourself, your own self on social media, you have kind of used your body as a vessel of, it's okay, be you, respond how you respond, of course be respectful and consensual, but
Yeah.
like, be you in that way. And you kind of used your own body as sort of a mechanism to say, it's okay to share these things, it's okay to think you're hot or to be sexual or whatever the
Yes.
thing may be. So like, how have you used your own body in some of your work on Instagram and the photos you've taken and the things you do to sort of help other people feel that way?
My hope is, so like I grew up without a lot of representation that looked like me, whether that was dark skin, whether that's Caribbean, whether that is non-binary. And so my understanding of sexy or hot or beautiful, like all of us, was so limited. For me growing up, it was the Brad Pitts, it was the
Mm.
Backstreet Boys, In Sync. Like that was what
Nothing wrong with
everyone,
Brad Pitt,
nothing
though.
wrong with y'all, like,
Yeah,
go off, but like but
but
it
there was a lot of
wasn't.
you.
There's a lot of y'all.
Yes, yes,
There's a
yeah.
lot of y'all that look like that. And it just like it wasn't an expansive understanding of beauty. And so then I found myself, like many, I think a lot of us, did not fit those models, trying to fit into it, trying to adjust ourselves, or even if we weren't trying to adjust ourselves, we were critical about ourselves and critical
Mhm,
about how we looked and critical about, not matching the quote unquote standards. And so I think it like maybe 2019 or 2018,
mhm.
I shot this film with Sophia Carson, a kids film called Feel the Beat on Netflix. And I played this character named Deco. And Deco, we described as gay, but I think now we would probably say is probably non-binary. And so they were putting me in all these, kind of gender fluid clothes and all this stuff. And I kept being, but like the movie took place in a small town, and they took Deco from New York in all of their, dresses and skirts and whatever, and put them in the small town, and no one bats an eye. That was like the director really wanted to make a point that like no one is shocked by a Deco.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, well, who is the character, what is the background of a character that goes from New York to a small town and doesn't feel any shame or fear?
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be me. Like I would feel so
Yes.
scared to be that expressive in a small country town. So like, who is this person? And it dawned on me that this person was probably raised in a way where they were always fully accepted, where no one batted an eye, where their mother or their father or both never chastised them for trying on mom's heels or for putting on makeup or for, and so I was like, oh, there's a power in this. And how do I reclaim this for myself as Brandon? So the
Mm.
question became, who would I be if society never got its hands on me? And then I just started to, I think, emulate that. And so I used my body and started taking photos and started posting it. And sometimes it's shirtless, sometimes it's clothed, whatever it is, but just
Yeah.
being like, I get to also be in the conversation of what beauty is. And I
Hmm.
get to expand what that looks like. And hopefully, by me doing that, somebody else looks and goes, oh, yeah, like I'm also beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, Even though I don't fit into the Brad Pitt box.
Yeah, I haven't either. Although my mom did go to his high school, Kickapoo.
Really?
Just at Kickapoo High School in
Okay, come
Springfield,
on.
Missouri. So I'm close to Brad at
You
least in
close
that
a degree
in
of
the
separation
respect
away.
that my mom may have, used the same classroom. I don't know.
There we
That
go.
said, I do, I find I just want to lean into that a little bit and say, like, I remember I've always had image problems. I've never had a personality problem. The
Mm,
personality has stayed the same, and it's been direct. And that's been my, that's the strength that I have. But the body, the vessel in which the personality comes through, has had a journey,
yeah.
and and a journey in terms of finding how I feel comfortable, both how I dress or how I look or what I do. And I remember there was a moment I distinctly remember. I wanted to bring this up with you because it sort of harkens a little bit what you were just talking about. That there was a few years there where I had a beard, and I would wear the beard largely out of to socially uh, uh, acclimate myself in a way to
Hmm.
fit in with the scene. And I noticed something once. I got on the subway here in Los Angeles, which is a crazy sentence to
Oh my
begin with,
God, that was a wild
but
sentence.
I got on the subway here in Los Angeles, and I noticed someone like checking me out. It was the first time I sort of had the full beard going out, and
Yeah.
someone was checking me out, and I had never really experienced that in that direct kind of way, in that way. And while it made me feel good because attention is lovely, it also made me feel screwed up because I felt like I was wearing something that wasn't actually me, and this person was attracted to something that I was just wearing as a costume. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes.
And so I've spent years then trying to just grow into myself and feel better about myself and do the things I do and wear the makeup I want to wear and be the person I want to be. But that said, how do you, and what is your advice, I would say, for people who want to get to that place where they can take off that costume, even if it is facial hair or
Yeah.
wearing the clothes you think you're supposed to be wearing or the colors people tell you to wear, when in reality, it's like they just want to do the thing they want to do to feel sexy and good and nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I have a complicated relationship to my body because I've had so many versions of it. And so and experiencing when when I was invisible, and then also experiencing when I became visible, and the kind of mental fuck of, well, I haven't changed. Why is the
Mm.
experience changing?
And the reaction to
Um,
it as well.
why is the reaction changing?
Yeah.
Even though I haven't changed. But I think what it helped me hold on to is that, oh, this is all bullshit.
Mm.
That I have to get a hold of what I call ABV's acceptance, belonging, validation for myself, because my body will always change. My physical appearance will always be an evolution. And if my worth is hung up on how people react to it, I will be fucked.
Yeah.
I'll never be at peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this all the time where people think, oh, if I have this body, I will be at peace, and they get that body and they're not at peace. Or if
Yeah.
I have this house, then I'll be at peace. They get that house, they're miserable, right? And so it's like, oh, because the work really actually has to. It sounds woo woo, but there's a reason it continues to last the test of time, is that it really starts with self-love. It really starts with
Yeah.
what's inside of you. And that journey is not easy. So I also want to say, it's easy to say love yourself, but it's not an easy thing to begin doing.
Mm.
There's a lot of confronting that you have to do. There's a lot of mirror work that you have to do. Like, I actually, here, it's right in front of me. I used to posted this on my mirror, which says, "Brandon, I love you as you are, and you are whole. Now breathe and go forth." I wrote that on a
Mm,
post-it 10 years ago, and it's traveled with me for the last 10 years. And I put it on the mirror and I say my affirmations. And I think that that's, it's like, it's trial and error, but building up your toolbox that helps you see yourself and love what you see.
mm,
And I think also another component of that is the community that you keep,
yeah.
right? Like, who are you talking to? Because sometimes people are in community with people who talk shit about bodies and talk shit about image. And so, like,
Hmm.
it's not helpful if your best friend or the person you're calling your best friend is also talking shit about your body and their body, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
not going to help you find self-love. So being
Hmm.
able to find community with people who maybe are a little further along in their journey than you are,
Mm.
and whether that's literal IRL community or internet parasocial community, but like finding the people. Oh, that was a big thing too. I had to unfollow a lot of people,
Oh.
because I was following people that I wanted to have a life like theirs or look like them. And it was triggering, right? Because
Mm.
it's like you're seeing the absence and it's like, oh, this is actually not helpful. It's not
Yeah.
helpful to open your phone and look at people and be like, oh, I want that all the time. That's unhelpful. So
Yeah.
needing to unfollow those people and find the people that when you do see them, you feel good about yourself. You feel
Yeah.
like you're being poured into. You feel like you're being hyped up.
Yeah.
So all of those components, the affirmation, mirror work, community, and also who the fuck are you following?
Mm.
Who are you? What content are you engaging with? Are you
Yeah.
engaging with that fitness content because you want to look like them and you feel bad about yourself? Or are you engaging with it because, oh yeah, I like to go to the gym and like I want to do that thing? Right? You have to be really clear about what it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's so true. Like one of the things that I think stands out to me, at least in my experience, is around that same time that I shaved off the beard, did all those things, I stopped posting images of myself on social media. I turned
mm,
myself into more of a, I'm going to put the things that inspire me in my comedy and my work, yeah,
yeah,
into my social media and through memes or through appreciation posts or through whatever it is. And while it was motivated by just very frankly, a fucked up headspace of body image and not wanting people to dissect me having gained weight or lost weight or shaved or not,
yeah,
whatever the situation may be. While that was a motivation that was a part of it, and that has to be worked out, it still allowed me to present a version of myself in a social way that then did, I would argue, it was one of the best things I did because it allowed a community of people to come to me to appreciate the same thing. So I literally created, for me at least in my space, a community of people who just want to be happy and talk about the
yeah,
movies that they love and the TV shows they
yeah,
love and that's all it is. And I love that by leaning into that and stepping away from the need of the image, of the personal image, actually made me feel good about myself and actually
yeah.
created a daily joyful thing to open my phone and see people's replies about, oh my God, I love Lori Metcalf too. And who doesn't love
Right.
Lori Metcalf? You know?
Yeah,
And those are the
yeah.
DMs I want. So I agree with you that there is, you really do have to lean into creating the community that reflects
Yes.
you in a lot of
Yes.
ways.
The other piece that I like to remind people that help me also find peace is that everyone is navigating insecurity, even the person that you think isn't.
Yep.
I always say it's age, body, beauty, future, finances, knowledge, and relationships. That somebody has an insecurity, probably in more than one of those buckets, but at least one of those buckets. Every single person you're looking at has an insecurity. And I don't say that to be like, oh, I'm better than them, but to be like, oh, people aren't always thinking about you in the way that you think they
Yes.
are. they're
Yes.
they're wrapped up in their own stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe they have it figured out in this bucket, but like those other three buckets they're fucked in, right? And so like,
Yeah.
can we be a little bit kinder to each other, a little bit more compassionate, and can we kind of leave everyone alone and just like
Yeah.
focus on, again, cultivating our communities, cultivating ourselves, as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to being in competition with each other or feeling like we need to hide ourselves or shrink ourselves. Like, everybody is
Yeah.
navigating some kind of insecurity,
Yeah.
and you're, in fact, knowing that your willingness to actually be a little bit more compassionate and kind, and a bit more open, actually
Mm-hmm.
disarms it and might actually
Yeah.
make you feel less insecure yourself, because you realize we're
Totally.
not alone.
I mean, realizing, having the realization, and I had this, Nikki Glazer,
Yes.
amazing person, love her.
She's
And
so
she's
funny.
incredible. We graduated high school together.
Oh my
And
god.
one of the things she told me, it was years ago, it was right before COVID started, and I was on her Sirius XM show or something, and I was telling her, because I was about to get on a flight, the anxiety that I have about flying and how much anxiety, and just causes me a lot of stress. And she said something to me that has been helpful in so many aspects of my life. She
Yeah.
leaned in and she was like, "You're not special enough to die on an airplane." And 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 if you think about it, if
Wow.
you really break that down, the amount of time that we put into thinking other people are thinking about us,
Yeah.
it is crazy
It's
that they're not thinking about you
they're
in
not
that
thinking
way.
about you. It's so
No.
time consuming.
You
They're
are
not
thinking
thinking.
about you are the star of your own movie more than anyone else is thinking you're the star. Julia Roberts is, I mean, she's probably has her own anxieties, but well, no, I bet she probably is like, no, I'm the star of lots of people's movies. Maybe she's
No,
not a good example.
but she has
But
her own. But yeah, but she is a good example because she also
yeah,
has her own anxieties. Of course,
of
everybody
course.
does. Everybody has their own
Yes.
thing.
Everybody
Yeah,
does. So
yeah,
I love that you said all that, but I do want to say, like, you turned Messy Mondays into an incredible podcast and just really kind of a brand in a lot of ways with Tell Me Something Messy. So, like, how are you navigating this new sort of message, not new message, but like a elevated message that you have about with the podcast and with other things you have going on?
it's exciting, because the Instagram. I've always wanted to do something outside of Instagram stories because these social media platforms are.
You never know when they're going to go away.
You never know when they're gonna go away.
Yeah.
And so, like, how do I take this thing that I really enjoy and like create kind of my own autonomy inside of it? And so the podcast, actually, it was Taylor Tomlinson who was like, "Why don't you have a podcast?" And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll go get one now." Because when Taylor Tomlinson tells you need a
You
podcast,
do it.
and you fucking do it.
Yeah.
So it was this partnership with iHeart to create Tell Me Something Messy, and now I get to talk to experts and sexperts and celebrities and my best friends about these what I say the quiet things out loud, the taboo things, and kind of make it less scary, and using the power of celebrity to help, because we live in this world, right? So
Yeah.
I understand that if a celebrity says something, most people are going to go, "Oh, I'll listen to that." And so to be able to get a celebrity to talk about relationships or sex or identity and talk about the things that they're working on, I think
Mhm.
gives people permission to also work on it themselves. And
Yeah.
so that's my like chess piece, is that like I want us all to feel permission to navigate the hard things in life and the quiet things in life, and to share of ourselves. And so I'll use this podcast, and I'll use my fancy friends to help give other people permission to do that in their own lives.
Well, and also too, I mean, you're so right about celebrity, but I always kind of defend celebrity in that way, because I do think while there are a lot of ridiculous celebrities out there
Mm-hmm.
doing ridiculous things who put no value into the world at all, there are also a lot of people who the impact of their presence does create a domino effect, and their
Mm-hmm.
openness creates a domino effect for other people to maybe reevaluate something within themselves. I'll even use you as an example, like when I was talking about the photo shoots you do or anything like that. Your openness allows people who in their own little worlds, in their own little lanes, their own little celebrity lanes, that if they're the celebrity of their lives, if they're the star of their movie, if it allows them to be like, well, yeah, when I'm at the beach, I'm going to take a hot picture of me on the beach and feel good about that and post it to my little world that is my own little TMZ.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good thing. That's a
Yes.
good thing. If the image of seeing you do something then allows someone else to express in that way, that's the power of celebrity. That really
Yes.
is.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's the and this is such a debate, like, is it a celebrity's responsibility to do that? I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that for me, I've always wanted whatever platform I have to have an intention.
Hmm.
And so that is the like I am aware, which is why I am a quality over quantity. Sometimes I disappear from the internet
Yeah.
because I need my own time. But I'm quality, which is I know that when I show up, that like it will mean something to somebody, even if it's one
Hmm.
person. I know when I
Hmm.
say that thing or post that thing, it might help somebody. And so I want to be really intentional about what I'm saying and how I'm
Yeah.
showing up and how I'm using. Jay-Z says you could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here, and that I really feel that, and I think we should all feel that, celebrity or not. Like, people could be wherever they want, and they chose to
Yeah.
spend time with you. They chose to connect with you. They chose to follow you. Um, be responsible for what you're saying to them and how you're
Yeah.
connecting to them.
Well, and that's also, I mean, whenever the whole question of do celebrities have a responsibility to sort of, exist in some way? I don't necessarily think they have a responsibility, but I do think they have the same responsibility that we all do, which is we all have our own responsibility to actively choose to be good people, to do
Yeah.
good things, to listen to people, to grow, to be able to admit that we're wrong when we're wrong. Like
Yeah.
there's a responsibility that goes along with being a good human being.
Yeah. It's a
Period,
human responsibility for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And we make those decisions to then either be that good person or not. And that's our responsibility. And, sometimes it doesn't always work out, but like, that's it. It's the same with celebrities too. If they want to share a part of themselves, they have a responsibility just to be good people and share what they want to share and do the things that they want to do. And not necessarily because they represent either a community or whatever it may be. Like,
yeah, because that's where it gets a slippery slope, because it's like people aren't a monolith, people don't always have the information, so it's just like your responsibility is to, I think, represent yourself. And that's what I think also what makes great art, right? Like when you're making great art, you're not thinking about all your quadrants, right? You're not thinking what's the demo, what you're thinking about, like, what do I as an artist want to say? And when you are specific about it, that's when we get work that actually resonates and ripples throughout the globe, is when the artist was really specific about what they wanted to share. And so I think the same thing is true in social media, celebrity culture, or not celebrity. Like, what is the thing that you want to say and do and share, and do that from an authentic space, and it will have the impact that it needs to have.
Yeah, and quadrants is such an LA word.
Sorry, yeah, I was like trying to explain this, but yes, you understand the demographics.
Yes, everyone gets it. I just love. We just speak in this way out here. It's a language.
I know, it's crazy. It's
well, Brandon, crazy. I want to end things by first asking you, what's next for you? Like, what are you working on next? What can people look forward to? And secondly, what are you wanting to do next?
These are great questions. What's next for me is I'm going to New York in 2 weeks from today to start work on my stage show, Ho Church, Heaux, which is going to be at Ars Nova. Opens October 18th and it runs for, I think, 4 weeks. And it's a solo show. There are a couple other people in it, but it's mostly a solo show. I'm a former PK, and so which means pastor's kid. My grandmother was a minister. My mom is a born again Christian, and so I'm doing this show about, like, how do you reclaim what church means? So for all of us who maybe have a tricky relationship to religion or to church and have found ourselves on the outskirts, this is kind of a reclamation. And also, while we're at it, let's talk about sex, the sex education we never got. So that's what's coming up for me, which I'm very, very excited about. And what do I want to do? I want to do so many things. Mostly I want to, like, live abroad for a bit. I want to write. I want to create in other places that are outside of LA. And I want autonomy. And this is in career, personal life. I want to continue crafting a life that serves me and fits me, as opposed to the idea of me, or what I thought it should be. I want to, like, continue learning about myself, peeling the layers. As anything that's not growing is dead. I think Lauryn Hill said that. And so I'm interested in continuing to grow and evolve and learn more about myself through art, but also through living.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I love to watch you grow. Not a euphemism. And I just think you're fantastic. So where can people follow you on the internet and stay in touch?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Brandon Kyle Goodman, or my Substack, brandonkylegoodman.substack.com, or my website, brandonkylegoodman.com. If you just write Brandon Kyle Goodman, you'll get
it'll pop up.
It'll pop up.
I can't encourage you all enough to go follow on Instagram and subscribe to the Substack, which I am also a subscriber of. And I think it's enlightening and wonderful and a joyful ride. So thank you so much, Brandon, for doing this.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of The Parting Shot. If you liked what you heard, please leave a little rating and review, or like and subscribe, or do all the things that the internet tells you to do. If you didn't like it, don't do any of those things. I am H. Allen Scott on everything. Go to newsweek.com for more news, podcasts, videos, so much more. And in the meantime, watch something fun today and have a good one.